All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the cusp of the end of an era. Recently, the number of World War I veterans has dwindled in the last 10 years. Now there are only 2. Soon, this war shall become the forgotten war. The millions of men and women who contribute to the effort are now gone. However, they did make great contributions to the world. Even though they didn't volunteer for it, they didn't want to be part of these advances. However, they changed the way, they changed the field of plastic surgery and prosthetics in many ways, including how we utilize it today. Ladies and gentlemen, the First World War started in 1914, and it has left 8 million dead and 21 million wounded. Many of them wounded in the face. Usually these injuries were caused by shrapnel, so bullets, and flying pieces of debris. Though early on they replaced the primitive cloth caps with steel helmets, the face wasn't protected. In fact, there have been 60 million men who have been directly injured in the eye or the face by bullet wounds, and that's just in the Allied statistics. According to Juliet Nicholson, author of The Great Silence, including many English and Americans have sustained facial injuries. One faceless American soldier said, like the sound of a bullet crashing into his skull sounded like someone had dropped a glass ball into a porcelain bathtub. That sound he heard was actually the stage shattering into one of the pieces, essentially. These men, before they could get help, had to be sent to field ambulances, and if they did succumb to either their malnutrition or gangrene, they were sent to other hospitals. Luckily, hopefully they were sent to the hospital of Harold Gillies, a New Zealand surgeon who specialized in facial surgery. He got started tending to the men in Belgium in 1916 and soon set up his own hospital to help the newly injured. He began filling in eye sockets, making ears, noses, and jaws, usually and from what little the men had. He also, during his tenure, he was able to advance skin grafting from its most primitive form to an advanced stage, where any part of skin can be used to fix the human face, made to any piece. He worked along with. He was also a well-known artist and worked with other artists, including Henry Tonks, who made this pastel right here, to help recreate these men's faces. Before the surgery, they would draw out the face right here with a drawing to show the men, this is how you look. But then he would get a new photograph right here of them currently. He would then draw on the photograph and tell them, this is what we're going to do, and suggest to them what kind of nose or ears or eyes would look best on them and what they could do for them. One such case was Walter Yo, who was wounded in the Battle of Jutland. His entire face was burnt off. However, through the use of a new technique called the the tooth pedicle, which was where you get skin graft, either from the chest or the neck, and you attach it to the face. He was able to create a new face. See, right here is a piece of the tooth pedicle. It's skin graft, and the piece of the skin still attached were tied up in the tube so that it would keep providing blood to the newly grafted skin, while at the same time preventing infection for the new patients, which is very important. You don't want skin graft to become infected. However, in the end, this is how he looked. After multiple skin grafts, he was able to rejoin society. However, for many men, they weren't able to go back to civilian life like they normally. In fact, a lot of men, they didn't look the same. They were missing eyes, noses, ears, jaws. So they were sent to many studios sponsored by the government, including those created by Anna Coleman Labs. She was a sculptress and worked for the American Red Cross along with her husband. And she set up one of the first pin nose shops. These studios worked to make new face masks for the newly injured. According to Caroline Alexander, after they were filled up, they were sent to her workshop, where they would be fitted for their new upper mask. First model pictures were taken of the men's faces, as seen here, and then sculptors would work on the models to recreate the final model that the mask would be based on. The masks themselves were made out of galvanized copper that was roughly around 4 to 9 ounces in weight, roughly the size, thickness of a simple card. They would be attached usually with fake glasses to hold them in place. If a man had injury to his lower jaw or his palate, a mustache would be added to not only hide the outings of the mask, but also create the illusion that his face is whole. Here, a patient is being fitted with the new mask. It's being adjusted. Clearly, you can't really see the outseams, and I believe it was the eye that was affected. Here is an example of their success. These men were clearly injured in the face by either shrapnel or a bullet. This is them before, and this is them after with the mask on. Though they're in black and white, it's hard to tell whether or not they were truly successful. From these photographs, you can at least get the idea that they were at least able to rejoin society without being stared at too much. And one last thing. This is one of the few pictures I could probably find what it would look like, today without color photograph. This was taken from the show Boardwalk Empire. Here, the actor is wearing a ceramic mask, the fake eyes right here, and it includes a fake mustache to create the illusion that his face is symmetrical. This is him supposedly without it. You can see that without the mask, there wouldn't be anything between him and the rest of society. They would just see the gaping wounds instead. Sorry. Many of these men greatly appreciate the efforts of Gillies and Labs. One man is saying, "Thanks to you, I have a home. The woman I love no longer finds me repulsive." However, these masks only had a lifetime of a few years, many of them becoming quickly dented However, the men would not part with them. This was the only connection to the outside world, the only way they were accepted by the rest of society. So many of them were buried with them. Today, all these men are gone. However, the contributions not only they made, but also the doctors, the artists, and even the nurses and volunteers made have greatly affected our world, and those who benefit from the techniques and the techniques and procedures that were incorporated in that day. And that's it.
There it goes, sneaking out. That didn't work, did it? All right, Yesenia.
I think you had some great, interesting information. You had great photos. I think you had a unique topic. Your beginning was kind of weak. I think if you would have looked at your cards, it would have hurt you because you felt more confident when you remember the information. Your visual aids in the game was a little bit confusing because you kind of had to jumble up and you had to give no introduction to them. Eventually, when you did start introducing your visual aids, you introduced them effectively and you were explaining it effectively. And the lecture concluded it was really strong. I think so. The beginning, you're just struggling with it, but overall, at the end, your visual aids and your information was pretty good.
I agree with a couple of the things that you said. I thought the visual aids are used pretty effectively. You explain them well. I think you do have the one image up at the beginning that is up there for a long time before there's any explanation, and so you have rushed them a little bit. I think you need to wait and show us that and start talking about it when you're ready to talk about it. It's otherwise background information. I'm a little distracted by the fact that you're behind the demo station the whole time you're speaking. You're going to be watching a speech and just hearing your voice because you will not be in the video for more than, a minute. You're there for a very brief time at the beginning and a very brief time as you're finishing off. The rest of the time you're off camera because you're off in the corner there. And so that's going to be a little bit problematic for evaluating your performance. The content issues, you'd need a lot more structure at the beginning. You need a preview that sets up where we're going. I knew what the topic area was, but I didn't really know what your goal was, and I thought that was kind of strange because given the way you finished off, it ought to be a lot clearer. I do think that you have a good summary at the end of the speech, and that helps a little bit, and you kind of give us a more useful purpose at the end, although your exit line is not very good because you come back to that and that's it, kind of exit. That's sort of a weak exit. It's 10 minutes and 45 seconds, so you're almost 3 minutes over time. You need to do a lot more editing. Like I said, the visuals are integrated pretty well. You've got supporting material, but you're not really citing where any of that information comes from, so I know you've got the data someplace. I think we need a little bit, the opening section I thought was a good idea, the attention device, that was all fine, like I said, but the thesis wasn't clear, and there wasn't really a very clear preview. And organization was a problem during the speech. It seemed like it didn't have a plan for where you were going during the presentation. Now looking back on it, I think I can see a little bit more structure, but it's not very clear while I'm listening to it, and that's where you want it to be clear for your audience. All right, thank you.